Chapter 5, Abraham, Part 11, of the Legends of the Jews. This is a LibriVox recording. All LibriVox recordings are in the public domain. For more information or to volunteer, please visit LibriVox.org. Recorded by Laurie Ann Walden. The Legends of the Jews, Volume 1, by Rabbi Louis Ginsburg. The Covenant with Abimelech. After a sojourn of 26 years in the land of the Philistines, Abraham departed thence, and he settled in the neighborhood of Hebron. There he was visited by Abimelech with 20 of his grandees, who requested him to make an alliance with the Philistines. As long as Abraham was childless, the heathen did not believe in his piety, but when Isaac was born, they said to him, "God is with thee." But again they entertained doubt of his piety when he cast off Ishmael. They said, were he a righteous man, he would not drive his firstborn forth from his house. But when they observed the impious deeds of Ishmael, they said, God is with thee in all thou doest. That Abraham was the favorite of God, they saw in this, too, that although Sodom was destroyed and all traffic had come to a standstill in that region, yet Abraham's treasure chambers were filled. For these reasons the Philistines sought to form an alliance with him, to remain in force for 3 generations to come, for it is to the 3rd generation that the love of a father extends. Before Abraham concluded the covenant with Abimelech, king of the Philistines, he reproved him on account of a well, for correction leads to love, and there is no peace without correction. The herdmen of Abraham and those of Abimelech had left their dispute about the well to decision by ordeal. The well was to belong to the party for whose sheep the waters would rise so that they could drink of them. But the shepherds of Abimelech disregarded the agreement, and they wrested the well for their own use. As a witness and a perpetual sign that the well belonged to him, Abraham set aside 7 sheep, corresponding to the 7 Noachian laws binding upon all men alike. But God said, Thou didst give him 7 sheep. As thou livest, the Philistines shall one day slay 7 righteous men, Samson, Hophni, Phinehas, and Saul with his 3 sons, and they will destroy 7 holy places, and they will keep the holy ark in their country as booty of war for a period of 7 months. And furthermore, only the 7th generation of thy descendants will be able to rejoice in the possession of the land promised to them. After concluding the alliance with Abimelech, who acknowledged Abraham's right upon the well, Abraham called the place Beersheba, because there they swore both of them unto a covenant of friendship. In Beersheba Abraham dwelt many years, and thence he endeavored to spread the law of God. He planted a large grove there, and he made 4 gates for it, facing the 4 sides of the earth, east, west, north, and south, and he planted a vineyard therein. If a traveler came that way, he entered by the gate that faced him, and he sat in the grove, and ate and drank until he was satisfied, and then he departed. For the house of Abraham was always open for all passers-by, and they came daily to eat and drink there. If one was hungry, and he came to Abraham, he would give him what he needed, so that he might eat and drink and be satisfied. And if one was naked, and he came to Abraham, he would clothe him with the garments of the poor man's choice, and give him silver and gold, and make known to him the Lord, who had created him and set him on earth. After the wayfarers had eaten, they were in the habit of thanking Abraham for his kind entertainment of them. Whereto he would reply, What, ye give thanks unto me? Rather return thanks to your host, he who alone provides food and drink for all creatures. Then the people would ask, Where is he? And Abraham would answer them and say, He is the ruler of heaven and earth. He woundeth and he healeth. He formeth the embryo in the womb of the mother, and bringeth it forth into the world. He causeth the plants and the trees to grow. He killeth, and he maketh alive. He bringeth down to Sheol, and bringeth up. When the people heard such words, they would ask, How shall we return thanks to God, and manifest our gratitude unto him? And Abraham would instruct them in these words, Say, Blessed be the Lord who is blessed. Blessed be he that giveth bread and food unto all flesh. In this manner did Abraham teach those who had enjoyed his hospitality how to praise and thank God. Abraham's house thus became not only a lodging place for the hungry and thirsty, but also a place of instruction, where the knowledge of God and his law were taught. Satan accuses Abraham. In spite of the lavish hospitality practiced in the house of Abraham, it happened once that a poor man, or rather an alleged poor man, was turned away empty-handed, and this was the immediate reason for the last of Abraham's temptations, the sacrifice of his favorite son Isaac. It was the day on which Abraham celebrated the birth of Isaac with a great banquet, to which all the magnates of the time were bidden with their wives. Satan, who always appears at a feast in which no poor people participate, and keeps aloof from those to which poor guests are invited, turned up at Abraham's banquet in the guise of a beggar asking alms at the door. He had noticed that Abraham had invited no poor man, and he knew that his house was the right place for him. Abraham was occupied with the entertainment of his distinguished guests, and Sarah was endeavoring to convince their wives, the matrons, that Isaac was her child in very truth, and not a spurious child. No one concerned himself about the beggar at the door, who thereupon accused Abraham before God. Now there was a day when the sons of God came to present themselves before the Lord, and Satan came also among them. And the Lord said unto Satan, From whence comest thou? And Satan answered the Lord, and said, From going to and fro on the earth, and from walking up and down in it. And the Lord said unto Satan, What hast thou to say concerning all the children of the earth? And Satan answered the Lord, and said, I have seen all the children of the earth serving thee and remembering thee, when they require aught from thee. And when thou givest them what they require from thee, then they forsake thee, and they remember thee no more. Hast thou seen Abraham the son of Terah, who at first had no children, and he served thee, and erected altars to thee wherever he came? And he brought offerings upon them, and he proclaimed thy name continually to all the children of the earth. And now his son Isaac is born to him, he has forsaken thee. He made a great feast for all the inhabitants of the land, and the Lord he has forgotten. For amidst all that he has done, he brought thee no offering, neither burnt offering nor peace offering, neither one lamb nor goat of all that he had killed in the day that his son was weaned. Even from the time of his son's birth till now, being 37 years, he built no altar before thee, nor brought up any offering to thee, for he saw that thou didst give what he requested before thee, and he therefore forsook thee. And the Lord said to Satan, Hast thou considered my servant Abraham? For there is none like him in the earth, a perfect and an upright man before me for a burnt offering, and that feareth God and escheweth evil. As I live, were I to say unto him, Bring up Isaac thy son before me, he would not withhold him from me, much less if I told him to bring up a burnt offering before me from his flocks or herds. And Satan answered the Lord, and said, Speak now unto Abraham as thou hast said, and thou wilt see whether he will not transgress, and cast aside thy words this day. God wished to try Isaac also. Ishmael once boasted to Isaac, saying, I was 13 years old when the Lord spoke to my father to circumcise us, and I did not transgress his word which he commanded my father. And Isaac answered Ishmael, saying, What dost thou boast to me about this, about a little bit of thy flesh which thou didst take from thy body, concerning which the Lord commanded thee? As the Lord liveth, the God of my father Abraham, if the Lord should say unto my father, Take now thy son Isaac, and bring him up as an offering before me, I would not refrain, but I would joyfully accede to it. The journey to Moriah. And the Lord thought to try Abraham and Isaac in this matter. And he said to Abraham, Take now thy son. Abraham, I have 2 sons, and I do not know which of them thou commandest me to take. God, thine only son. Abraham, the one is the only son of his mother, and the other is the only son of his mother. God, whom thou lovest. Abraham, I love this one, and I love that one. God, even Isaac. Abraham, and where shall I go? God, to the land I will show thee, and offer Isaac there for a burnt offering. Abraham, am I fit to perform the sacrifice? Am I a priest? Ought not rather the high priest Shem to do it? God, when thou wilt arrive at that place, I will consecrate thee and make thee a priest. And Abraham said within himself, How shall I separate my son Isaac from Sarah his mother? And he came into the tent, and he sat before Sarah his wife.